Good morning, everyone. I'm going to start with a new topic: primitive relations of tribal and peasant society. So, religion is about a belief in supernaturalism. That also means belief in a supernatural power. And this belief it arises out of the events which we see in our life, or the way those events in our life that unfold. So, this unfolding of events, which is unpredictable, which cannot be patterned out, which cannot be figured out in advance, this lead to this lead for a human mind to seek the solution, to seek the answer, and those answers, those interpretations, those quest for truth, it leads man to look for something. And herein, man believes that if events, if they are not unfolding in the pattern way, if they are not unfolding in the way they are desired, then there is something, some other force that is working behind it, some other force that is working behind the scenes. And to know about uh, this other force, or to know about this supernatural power, man has certainly sought the refuge of religion. So, religion, in short, is the intermediary that provide an interpretation that join man with the unknown force. So, this bridge is known as religion, and religion certainly has evolved to the forms that we see today. The institutionalized religion form that we see today, they have arisen out of all such primitive religions such as animism, animatism, monism, fetishism, totemism, and naturism. So let's get back to text. Religion it seeks to interpret and control man's relation to the forces of his physical and social environment. So this bridge, religion, as I said, is a bridge between man and the unknown, and it's man's quest to know about how these forces are working, how these forces of physical and social environment they will unfold or they will influence his life. This quest it seeks an interpretation, and that interpretation is provided by religion. Then it is thought that these forces, the social, physical, the environmental setting, they are controlled by some supernatural power. And the interpretation of man's relation to the unknown, to these forces, it led to several forms which we are going to talk about. Now let's have a definition of religion. So according to philologist Max Müller, the root of English word religion, the Latin word religio, was originally used to mean only reverence for God or gods, which means reverence to deity. Then the definition of B.Tylor, he defined religion as the belief in spiritual being. Now the definition of anthropologist Clifford Geertz, he defined religion as a system of symbol which acts to establish powerful, pervasive, and long-lasting moods and motivation in man by formulating conception of a general order of existence and clothing these conceptions with such an aura of factuality that moods and motivations seem uniquely realistic. In simpler terms, Clifford Geertz he talk about the system of symbols. So those symbols in religion they are rituals, they are customs, religious practices, rites, functions. So all those systems they are practiced and they are manifested, they are visualized in such a way that they seem to create an aura of realism. In other words, Clifford Geertz he said that the all the rituals, practices, all the paraphernalia of a religion, they are there to influence man's moods and motivations. So most of the moods and motivation, generally the low mood, especially when man is faced with some negative situations in life. Now he is seeking a refuge or he is seeking answer for the loss he has met. and he also want to come out of that negative situation. Maybe it is depression, it is anxiety, whatever psychosocial situation. But such negative situations, if go for a long time, they will be detrimental to not only his own life but also those who are depend on it. So in that situation, he needs to uplift his mood, and he also needs motivations to go about in the harsh reality of life, because life in general, it is very cruel. We all know it. So man needs motivation, and man needs generally either a satiated, or you can say a composed mood, or an uplifted one. Composed or uplifted mood. Nobody desires a negative mood. So to have such long lasting uplifted and composed moods, and to seek motivations to go about living in a life, man needs such rituals and practices. And by performing those rituals and practices, for example, आप लोग अपने घर पे दिया करते हैं, you light incense stakes, then all the festivals, all the religious festival, they are performed in spatial fervor, and the way, the custom that is um, suggested by the ancestors. By following all these events, following all these activities, it seems we are creating such a realistic aura. We are creating a realistic situation of having met or having placated the unknown forces. So that's what it means. Like, um, most of people, they do diya and puja every day. So this is some kind of placation, and the particular activity of lighting a diya or doing puja in itself, it means nothing. But when in the psychological setting, it when you perform such an activity with the motivation in mind that the performing puja, it will lead to a good day, that you will succeed in whatever thing you are desiring, then this activity, this ritual, it acts as a placebo. So that's the meaning of the definition given by Clifford Geertz. Now, the definition of Emil Durkheim in his seminal book, The Elementary Forms of Religious Life, he defined religion as a unified system of beliefs and practices related to sacred things. So, I can relate this as this definition, it is an encapsulated form of what has been given by Clifford Geertz. So, again, if you want an explanation of it, so Emil Durkheim, he said that it is a unified system of beliefs and practices, which is again a system, a whole system of rituals, beliefs, faith, practices, customs, rites, and all the whole system is related to sacred things, or related to gods, related to deities, related to your ancestors, related to the supernatural power. So all in all, this plication, it acts as a form of placebo, that while performing this activity, you have come to a good terms with supernatural power. Now let's proceed on to animism. So animism is generally that some vital principle, some kind of soul produce living phenomena of organized body, and yet exist apart from them, those bodies. So the meaning of this passage is that animism, it believes in soul. It believes that all the organized bodies, they have soul, and this soul, it acts separate. It acts independent of the independent of the physical form. So animism, it uh, talks about two things in general. If you take it, if you want to understand it the other way, so there is a physical body, and there is a soul. And the soul, even if it lives under a physical body, it is independent of the rules and regulation, independent of the existence of body. Now, E.B. Tylor, in his book Primitive Culture 1871, defined animism as the belief in spiritual beings and the basis of all religion. And in his book, he showed the evolution of religion from animism to monotheism through polytheism. So, this, according to him, spirits are the ethereal embodiment without real flesh and blood. Spirit and soul both are interchangeable terms. So, primitive, they use different terms, different names to refer to these spirits: ghost, goblin, genie, trolls, fairy, witch, demon, devil, angel, and even God. And a spirit does not obey the law of nature and can transcend matter, time, and space. So that's why what I mean, that the soul that exists in a physical body and the spirit that lives out of it, it is independent of the material structure. It can transcend all laws of nature. It can transcend matter, time, space. It can travel everywhere. It can perform any activity. And we know them by different names. Then, according to E.B. Tylor, all primitive people, they recognize some sort of subtle invisible matter inside each living body which initiate the activities of the individual. So here it is, this paragraph, it is talking about the power, the energy that drives all living beings. And it is the power, it is this energy which some of us or most of us would like to call soul. It is the energy that initiate, that kickstart physical processes of an individual. And when the matter leaves the body, all activities are stopped and the body becomes still. So this soul, this energy, when it leaves the body and at the time of death, all the activities are stopped and body, it comes to standstill. So that's how a physical body, a concrete body, it is said to be independent of the spirit, the soul, the driving force. So this unseen, subtle matter is regarded as power and termed soul, anima. So it is the conversation about soul which gives to which has labeled this particular belief as animism. This concept of soul is the root of animism. And how has primitive people came to relate to this term? It is by dreamlike, it is by the onset of dreams. It is about having the dreams. So when the primitive people, they saw their dead people, their loved one, their family, their ancestor in their dream, it came to them that it is their soul, it is the soul of the ancestor that are talking to them, and they are indestructible and eternal. After leaving the body, those soul, they had become spirit and began to dwell in certain places or things. Now, next paragraph. E.B. Tylor, he considered the belief in spirit or invisible soul as almost result of universal phenomena such as dream. Again, the same thing, because the whole concept of soul, it has arisen out of this consequence of dream. And as you know, dreams are universal. All the people of the world, they have dreams. So if in their dreams, if they see the people who are not there, so this occurrence, which might have the some other results, and even psychoanalysis of present time, they haven't found any um, plausible argument of why dreams occur to us, why dreams come to us. So, because of uh, such a comprehensive analysis, which is uh, not typical for the year of 2025, when we are talking about, we have made technological breakthrough in other spheres, like you talk about artificial intelligence, you talk about machine learning, you talk about making colonies in space, outer space exploration, to talk about uh, deep sea exploration, about deep sea mining, then other technological breakthroughs in softwares, in manufacturing, about nanotechnology, biotechnology, about having fibers, making DNA data bank. So all in all, we have made breakthroughs, we have progress in rapid manner in all other spheres. But this psychosocial setting, this psychological setting, it is still out of our grasp. So, in short, we do not have any plausible explanation of dreams. So, if we, the people of 2025, are not able to find an explanation, how could we believe that the primitive people who lived around 5,000, 6,000 years ago could have managed to come up with an explanation? So, in other words, this belief in spirit or soul or anima, it is a result of universal phenomena such as dream. And very commonly, the view is held that spirit visits a man in his sleep, and that too when he is experiencing dreams. So Tylor, he asserted that primitive man could hardly explain a dream in which he had certain actual experiences, because that happened with all the people, happened with people who lives in 2025. So when we have some lucid dreams, and in those lucid dreams, our past memories, they come to the surface, and we have some interaction, we see a story that is so intricately woven that we actually come to believe it. So though all those actual experiences or near actual experiences, it led the primitive mind to believe that it was the soul of the ancestor that have visited them. Then the primitive man hence believed in two kinds of soul: the body soul, which is the fixed soul, and the free soul or the shadow. So this body soul, it animates the body and pervades the whole of it. And the free soul, being independent of the body, can come out of the body and wander in different places. And when it departs the body forever, the man dies. So the dead person, distant relatives, next door neighbor, ferocious animal, all of them appear in dream and trances because the soul interact with them. So this was the explanation given by the primitive mind to the experiences, to the lucid dreaming he had occurred. Then the primitive seemed so much anxious with the ultimately departed immortal soul, immortal body soul, which can harm the living people. There is hardly any primitive group which who does not care about the soul. So here, the fear, this which the body soul arise in people, it is about the destructive power it holds. It is according to the primitive mind, those body soul that depart of physical form, they wander in different places, and this wandering in form of spirit, in form of ghost, goblin, deity, ancestor, in any form, it may come to harm the living people. And this fear echoes through all the primitive religions. But the idea regarding the size and shape of this soul, it differs from region to region. Among the Lakhers of Assam, the soul resembles the original body in appearance and size. Then the Thado cookies of Manipur, they consider the soul as minute replica of the individual. Then their Naga neighbor, Sema Nagas, they view the soul as shadow and reflection of the body. The Chenchus of Hyderabad, they know that soul turn to the mortal world immediately after death. And the Todas of Nilgiri Hill, they hold the opposite view. So All in all, animism, which is the belief in a soul, it is universally accepted as the essence of primitive religion, which means this universal acceptance, it is shared by all the primitive religions. Now let's talk about animatism and monism. So a few scholars criticize E.B. Tylor's theory of animism. So according to them, the theory of animism was too critical and that did not deal with the emotional content of religion. Then Professor Max Müller, he postulated a pre-animism stage where the spirits were not supposed to be only those of dead men, rather each and every object were considered to have a life, and so all of them were primitive or the animate living object. So in short, the meaning of this passage, the first, the criticism, which is about that the theory of animism, it talks only about the the humans. It talks about the ancestors. It talks about the those physical entities that a man could see. It could also include some animals such as one's pet, one's cows. But the objection or the criticism, it centered around the the entity which could said to contain a soul. Let me put it in another way. The objection of theory of animism, which believed in soul, was that soul is not typical of a physical body, of a living body. Anything, whether it is a living body, whether it is not, it is a non-living body, all of them, they could have a soul. So in that case, uh, what about rivers, what about mountains, what about stones, what about trees? These things are also existing, and if they are existing, then there must be some explanation about their existence. This is according to the primitive mind. So if you say everything that is moving, everything that is breathing, which in short means living things. So if you equate uh, animism with living things only, then you are first talking about a very centered core of the existential life, and then you are separating out all the other forms that are existing. So this new phenomena, this new form of religion, animatism, it talks about all the objects, all the forms of life that are supposed to have a life. I know I may be incoherent here because the difference between animism and animatism, it is very subtle. Animism, it talks about soul, but it confined the definition to the living things only. Whereas animatism, it says anything that exists, it must have some life. And if it has some life, then it has some soul. So, in other words, animatism, it refers to believe in anything or anybody who is animate or endowed with life. And that life is considered to have a supernatural power of force. Max Miller has shown that earliest form of religion it consisted of worship of various objects in nature. So, the meaning of this passage, uh, if you are able to understand it without explanation or with the line that is underlined here, and it is very good. But otherwise, the subtlety of this definition, it need to be gauged over. So, animatism, it believes that all the existential life forms, whether trees, stones, bones, feathers, mountains, rivers, whichever form it is, even clouds, if it is there, if it is existing, then it has a life. And if it has a life, then it has a soul. It has a supernatural force of power. And Max Muller he considered this to be the earliest form of religion. So, an example of animatism it is found in tribes of Bihar. They consider the bones, beads, stone, feather, all of them to have living and magical powers. The stone are considered to be children of Mother Earth and they worship them. Then, more recently, Professor Merritt he explained the situation with a specialized form of animatist theory called Manaism. So, mana is a Melanesian term meaning power. So, according to Merritt, the primitive people throughout the world they believed in the existence of an impersonal power, a non-material supernatural power which belongs to all object, animate or inanimate. So, this is the ultimate gist of animatism, that they believe all objects, all existing objects, whether they are animate or inanimate, all of them they come to derive a supernatural power. And this power has been termed with another form, Manaism. Manaism is another specialized form of animatism. Then the publication in 1891 of a work on Melanesian religion by R.H. Corrington, he attracted considerable scholarly attention while pointing out that mana is a force altogether distinct from physical power which acts in all kinds of ways for good and evil and which is of greatest advantage to possess or control. The ghost of dead or spirit of mankind had mana. Mana was highly communicable and could be drawn from and imparted to object and man. Now this passage needs an explanation. So all in all, the whole theory, including the specialized form of it, Manaism, all of them they talk about mana. Mana is nothing but power. So it is believed that everything, whether living or non-living, they possess some power, and this power it can be controlled, regulated, and influenced by the wielder, whoever holds this power, whoever wields this power, whoever can control this power. You can look here. Mana, it resides beyond the reach of physical sense but is manifested as a physical force. All objects in nature possess it to a greater or lesser degree. So again, the thing revolve around the same concept that it is a universal concept. Everything, every existential entity, it holds such power. And now, how does primitive came to identify to regulate this thing? So this uh, this force of mana, this power, it does not maintain conformity with the regular laws of nature or technological knowledge and skill. It does not always work, but when it works, it shows an exceptional power to do things which are unusual. So this particular statement or this postulates of this theory, this belief, they should not be taken at face value. They should not be considered true. But what you need to go through is that this is how the primitive mind came to make a sense of his surrounding. So they believe that this mana, this power that is inherent in all the entities, they do not follow any law. They may not work, this power may not work, but when it works, it shows an exceptional power which are unusual, and it appears all of a sudden as a supernatural attribute of person and things. Any extraordinary aptitude of man can be explained in terms of man. So again, here it is about skill. If any person, if he has certain skill, if um, he's good at something, then it is because of his mana. In Polynesia, where there are traditionally elaborate system of rank, mana was often used as a direct measure of social position. High-ranking individual, they possess more mana, and mana, it was gained principally by personal achievement. So again, it is, even if the phenomena is universal, the action, the acts, they are particular, they are individualistic. Mana is also a measure of social position, a kind of social ranking, and whoever has gained something, if he has hunted more animals, if he is good in archery, if he is good in singing, if he has a strong physique, strong and muscular physique, if he can tend to farm without much hiccups, if he have many wives, if he is a good fighter, any kind of success would be attributed to his mana. So this is how it is equated with personal achievement. So example given here, any success in life is considered a blessing for mana. In Polynesia, the master craftsman, then a learned man, a warrior, an outstanding healer, an expert canoman, and every successful man, he is considered to possess the power of mana in the background. So, uh, in another way, when I say that mana acted as a measure of social ranking, so it is also a measure of success. Then the causes of failure, they are counted as loss of mana. Then M.J. Herskowitz, he compared mana with electricity. In his words, like electricity, mana is impersonal, and like electricity, it can be channeled, direct, and used to achieve a desired end by one who knows how to manipulate it. So, all in all, this is an impulsive and powerful force. All of us possess it, especially when we are there to desire something. You might have seen this thing in revenge and vengeance. So the man who is totally soaked up in vengeance, and you may have seen that they act like they are possessed, that they go after the man who has done wrong to them, and they go after so powerfully, like it seems they are unstoppable. And in the same way, the man with the dream, like you are preparing for civil services examination, and there are many people who study, who are after this thing, like they are possessed, like they want it in any way. You might have seen many star players, star sportsmen, star cricketers, star batsmen, or star singers, star artists, or star employees, all those person who shows exceptional qualities, and when you see them, like they are working, many who work with insane work ethics, like they can work 12 hours, 14 hours without any break, or without any hiccups. And the same goes for drive many people who are into their tribes, whichever it is, if even if it is playing football, about singing any, about playing any musical instrument, about writing, about speaking, about driving, about any activity which they like, and their action, it seems like they are doing it without any difficulty, without any stop, without any influence. So this unstoppable force, this electricity, this impulsive and powerful force, this is attributed to individual mana. Now, the examples, the American Indian recognize a similar power known as Oranda, and the Iroquois, they call it Wakan. The Algonquin Red Indians, they call it Manito, and some Indian tribes such as Santhal, Munda, Ho, they designate the power as Bonga. Most of the Central Indian tribes, they consider this individual, impulsive, powerful force as Bonga. So this mysterious force, it influences not only man and other living beings, but it can also act on non-living objects like sun, moon, mountain, rocks, and seas. So this is certainly a distinction here. There is a certain distinction here of monism, between monism and animatism. So animatism is, it talks about the power that is held by all the objects of all the existing objects of this universe. Whereas monism, it is again a specialized form, and it talks about the inherent power in every individual that, when channelized, can lead to greater results. Then the next topic, fetishism. So fetishism, it has been defined both as a religion and as a magic. So in origin, it is the most primitive form of religion. It refers to an object called fetish, such as a stone, shell, necklace, a piece of carved stone, or any artifact which is believed to have power, personal or impersonal, and it is capable of helping its possessor. So now the attribution attribution of power, or the center of power, it has certainly moved from an individual or a physical body to the outside. Difference of fetishism with the other approaches, other forms of religion, it lies in who possess the power, the center of power. So in the earlier belief, it was assumed that the power, it was held by an individual, whether it is an animate or inanimate object. But fetishism, it considered that anyone, even if they do not possess this power, they, by holding such a fetish, such an artifact, they can come to possess such a power. So this is the primary distinction between fetishism and the earlier forms of beliefs. So that's why it is said that fetish is an object, and it can be anything: a stone, a shell, a necklace, a ring, a piece of carved stone, any artifact that has some power, and its possessor will be held by it. So this word fetish, it comes from Portuguese fetico, which literally means something made, and it was used by early Portuguese to denote the charms and images of African people, especially the beads and necklaces that were worn by the African people. So though the Portuguese explorer, they used this term to refer to wooden images of West African Negroes, the term is not necessarily restricted to denote artificial thing. The fetish, it can be anything. The meaning of this passage is that the Portuguese explorer, the Portuguese colonialist, when they saw the African people adoring themselves with different kinds of artifacts, beads, necklaces, spears, flowers, garlands, and such adoration of these African people, it was called fetish, fetishism. But when further studies were taken by anthropologists the world over in all primitive and old religion, and they found that this practice of adoring um, people with such objects, it is not restricted to such wooden or artifacts, such wooden images or artifacts. It can also include different materials such as a leaf, a feather, a horn, a stone, or anything of unusual shape, anything that is come to be treasured. Then another thing, merely possessing such an artifact of whether it is of any kind, whether it is carved, whether it is found, whether it is of singular, regular, or unusual shape, merely possessing it does not s- seem to equate it with the fetish. They certainly follows a practice of this phenomena in which the the object, it will be consecrated by a magician or any such personality who will breathe something into it. And this breathe something into it, it should not be taken literally. It means that some ritual, some practice, some elaborate rituals, they will be practiced, and those elaborate rituals are said to give this particular object some power. So this fetishism, it is a two-step process. First, an object of whatever kind, whatever shape, it is possessed, it is taken, and then it will be followed by elaborate ritual by such a personality, and that personality by such ritual will endow this particular object with power. And now this phenomena, whole phenomena, this we come to known as fetishism. So here, on the other hand, in the very area where the phenomena was first observed, the most elaborate images is merely a work of art until a magician has consecrated it by thrusting a particular kind of paint into one opening or croning a spell over it. So that is to say, the service of power may be impersonal, vested in an unintangible way in paints, words, or technique used. The meaning of this passage here, it means that that particular object will be consecrated. Consecrated means to breathe power into it, to give it power. This consecration, it will be done by rituals, and having done it, it will come to possess power. And if you do not understand it that much, then you might have heard about tabis. So many people in roadside, around roadside, in villages, there are many people who wander about talking about and distributing such tabis that come to possess such power. So this tabis is again a fetish. Then sometime many people, they wear ring in their hand, ring in their fingers, or something is tied, some sacred thread is tied around their wrists. So these rings, these stones, the the sacred threads, these tabis, all of these, they are fetish. They are fetish object. So this fetish is an object imbued with, which means given with, or powered with ritual potency, often surrounded with taboos and conferring material benefits upon its keepers. The meaning of this sentence is that this ritual potency, which means the capability that is derived after consecrating it. So let's take example of tabis that most people they wear in their neck, on their hand, on their arms. So those tabis, at first they are nothing but some stone, but those stone, when tied, when wrapped in a sacred fabric, then some rituals would be performed on them, whether in presence of some fire or some uh, perfume sticks by lighting a fire. So this ritualization, this ritual potency, it is given to them, is imbued to them by a practitioner. So in short, this object, this tabiz will be consecrated, and then there will be some taboos upon it. So generally, like many Brahmins, they wear a sacred thread in their body, and this sacred thread, it is, it has some taboo, like it should not be worn at this particular time, and they should not consume alcohol and animal protein, that is meat. So and the same taboos, they also go with many such fetishes, such as stone, the ring stone, the sacred thread that is tied around wrist, So such taboos, they give this placebo effect, and when all these processes are fulfilled, like ritual potencies has been consecrated, and then taboos are practiced, then it is believed, this placebo believes that this fetish is going to give material benefit of all kind to its keeper. And I can give one more relatable example, like especially in the rural parts of India, rural countryside of India, you might have seen many banners and posters about वशीकरण, वश में कैसे करें, चुड़ैल का पीछा कैसे छुड़ाएं, एंड कैसे सुख संपत्ति, all that. You might have seen it. Mostly, such sticker they are pasted on the male urinals, the male public urinals, or the outside of it. And you might have seen most of them in the public buses, the roadways buses. So all such Vashikaran, all such Mukti, Sukh Sampati, these are relatable example, and all of them they talk about only one thing: fetish. This is fetishism. That while they will give you an object, and by consecrating it, you will have this power of Vashikaran. Uh, you can breathe and spell over anyone who you like will be yours. You will have a lot of fortunes. You will find treasures wherever you are guided. So this is another relatable example which will help how the primitive religion and how tribal people they made sense of the world. So in short, fetishism is nothing but the adoration of material things because of their mysterious power. And this example is, as we see, can be seen from the widespread belief among rural people in India, and I have given you some relatable examples. Now, next, totemism. So, totemism is an extension of fetishism, but there are certain some distinction. We will look at them. A totem is a species of animal or plant, a part of an animal or plant, or a natural object or phenomena or symbol of any of these which signifies distinguishing feature of human group similarly represented in the same society. So the difference between first, let's say similarity. So both are talking about the objects that lies outside of them. um, when we talk about fetish, so fetish is again an object that is consecrated with power. Totemism is also about reverence of an object, but the difference between them is that fetishism, it is an individual phenomena. Not everybody, not caste group, not whole tribal group, they come to derive a common fetish. But totemism, it is a group phenomena. So this is the primary distinction. Fetish, it is an individual phenomena by which the wielder of a particular fetish, an individual, is going to be benefit from it. But totemism, it is certainly about the group identity. And this object for any human group, whether it is a clan, whether it is a moiety, whether it is a tribe, it can be given to anything. Generally, they are animal or plant, but they can also be given mm, to other objects or phenomena or any symbol. And this the adoration of this totem, it distinguishes such human group from other. Then, in the words of Fraser, a totem is a class of material objects which a savage regards with superstitious respect, believing that there exists between him and every member of the clan as an intimate and altogether special relation. A totem is generally an animal, rarely a plant, which gives its name to a clan or maybe to may be otherwise associated with it. So generally, it is about a relation or identification of a group to such animal or plant. Let's say um, you might have heard about Vishnoi tribe. Vishnoi right now they they have come to the mainstream caste system, but earlier the Vishnoi they used to dwell in the deserts, the countrysides of desert, and their sacred animal, the blue bull. So this blue bull wa- was for a long time their totem animal. They considered the blue bull and again Khejri to be their totem object. So it was more about the protection of this tree and protection of this species, because when a certain tribe live in an area for a long time, it certainly come to associate itself with some object, some animal and plant species, not because that they see it for reverence or they see it some endowed with some supernatural power. The reason generally it is about its protection, its preservation. The primitive mind, it might not have you know known about many ecological terminologies such as symbiosis. A symbiosis in which one species it live with another species in a symbiotic relationship, which means both can coexist only if both are protected. If one of them dies, the other species die as well. So this symbiosis, it is the root of cultural ecology or root of ecological phenomena the world over. So the Bishnoi, they are also living in desert, and Khejri, it is one such tree species that provide nutrition to camels, goats, the cattle, and if this tree species, if it is not protected, then it is certainly going to have a negative effect on the population, on the survival of Bishnoi themselves. So this totemic relationship, it ultimately provided a symbiotic protection to both of them, a symbiotic relationship to both of them. So this is how totems in the world over they came to be adored and came to be protected. The next paragraph, the concept of totemism has not been satisfactorily defined. However, it could be said that according to theory of totemism, a tribe is supposed to be related to an object, mainly animal or plant, towards which they behave in a reverent manner by adopting its name and offering a sacrifice or adoring it. So again, the practice can be described this way, and the purpose, as I have said, mostly it is about protection, mostly it is about symbiosis. Then according to Emile Durkheim, all religious belief must have emanated as sort of collective representation of society in form of totemic symbols. And then the other purpose, it is about having separate identity, separate identity. So likewise, if there are a group of tribe that live in a forest, especially such as the Naga Hills, the Patkai Hills, the Mizo Hills, so there are many northeastern tribal groups, and most of them they come to adore one or another totem animal. So like some animal they came to associate themselves with hawk, other with eagle, then other with snakes, some with buffalo, some with other cattle, some with tree species, a plant species. So this is how all of them they come to associate themselves, and this association it gives them a separate identity and it establishes the rules of exogamy by which the people of one such tribe, people of similar totem, they marry outside their group, outside their clans. So Emil Durkheim, he regarded the culture of Australian Aborigines as the crudest in the world, and he found 460 to 500 totemic names of southeastern Australia, and most of them were related to animals and plants. Only 40 of them were inanimate objects such as moon, star, fire, smoke, and water. Then the members of tribal group, they affiliate themselves with a totem. The totem is a collective religious object having supernatural or mysterious power for the group. And the totem is associated with the tribal group and it becomes the name of tribe, an image of totemic spirit, and the animal with which the tribe identifies. And this relationship, it is not like something that has been bestowed to them according to some rules or criteria. It is a natural phenomena, and most of tribal, they come to derive this relationship by their proximity to the habitat shared by this animal or plant, or by any such phenomena that come that manifests itself automatically in their lives. And there are also some rituals and custom associated with it. Like if this totem animal, if it is snake, so the tribe or clan that is associated with, affiliated with it, it will not kill the snake, but there will come a time, certainly in a year or with some frequency, that this particular species, it will be sacrificed, and this sacrifice, it will be shared by all the members. So the tribe, the spirit, and the animal all are united in a trinity which cannot be separated into the part. So totemism, it appeared to be important to those society in which it was found by observer. It seemed to be important to be associated with the rules of exogamy between totemic groups. So first criteria, it is that this totemism, it is usually, it was adored by those tribes where it was found. So again, it was not that the people of desert, they adopted, like same Vishnoi tribe, they adopted um, a totem of Bengal tiger. Now this could not happen, and this does not seem sensible, because first, Bengal tiger, it does not have any kind of habitat in deserts, and even if Bishnoi come to associate themselves with Bengal tiger, the relationship or uh, the whole phenomena of having a relationship, of having a trinity with the animal spirit, its reverence, they will not be fulfilled. So my point was that only those plants and species were adopted which were found in the proximity. Then the rules of exogamy, because the primitive groups, they did not have such a group of that could maintain exogamic rule, because it was necessary. First, even primitive mind, they would have understood this thing, inbreeding depression, that somehow they need to avoid this. They need to avoid breeding among themselves, among the family members, and for happy survival, a continuous survival of a species, they need to make such group, and those group need to marry outside. So this exogamy would have started by following the totemic groups. Then the relation between totem and people is like one of a blood relationship. The killing or eating of the group's totem, or insulting or using it for some other purpose other than worship, all of them are taboo. The totemic emblem, they are evolved with religious attitude, and descent is traced through totemic line. So totem may be a wolf, a bear, a turtle, hawk, fox, maybe a plant, and maybe as a flower species. Then it has to be admitted that none of the traits mentioned above are invariable feature of totemic society. They are variations, none are universal, but totemism, it is universally found in all these species, although with some variations. Now, naturism. So Max Müller said that earliest form of religion must have been the worship of objects of nature, and evidence in support of such a view has come in from archaeological excavation conducted in Egypt. So it is maintained that an attitude of awe or reverence towards object of nature is born as a result of a diseased mind which invests lifeless thing with life and all the power that is associated with life. So the meaning of this passage is that the Max Muller he equate earliest form of religion with naturism or the worshipping of nature. So according to him, he believed that the primitive mind of the Homo sapien, we certainly on the platform for 300,000 years, and it is clear that we have survived we have survived all the roughs and tumbles of this life, and when they have gone through such tough time, like when they have gone through the ice ages, when they gone through the torrential downpour, torrential rain, in tornadoes, in storm, in rough weathers, to, to survive through famines and droughts. So all such natural phenomena, they were equated with power, and the primitive mind, he bowed before them. He kept an attitude of awe and reverence towards all these natural phenomena. So this is how the worshipping of nature it evolved. So this error of mind is according to this theory born out of defective language. So such linguistic errors such as the sun rises or sets, a thunder sends rain, or the tree bears flowers and fruit, it give rise to belief in some power inherent in the sun, thunder, and trees. Now the meaning of this passage is that the earlier mind, the primitive mind at that time, when he saw the situation, he saw the environmental, the climatic, the natural phenomena happening day in, day out, in regularly, seasonally, diurnally, nocturnally. So all such phenomena, when they kept happening with the frequency, the primitive mind, he came to give them a definition. He came to verbalize them. So he verbalized them by giving it power. So this linguistic error that is being talked about, it is like when you say the sun rises. So it means you have manifested, you have personified sun. You have made sun a person, a man who rises like any other man rise. And he sets, it's like the same phenomena like any man sleeps. So this personification, this manifestation, or this verbalization, this is the linguistic error that has been pointed out by Max Müller. So he says that this this whole theory, this whole nature worshipping, it came by this defective use of language, which is, if the primitive mind, if it did not associate the rising of sun as a phenomena that is happening by itself, even if he does not worship sun, it will it will certainly follow the course of action, because everything is revolving. But this knowledge, it was not available to the primitive mind, to the primitive people. So according to them, if there was thundering of clouds, so for them it shows that it was the power, there was some person behind it who is mm, drumming, who is a giant who is drumming in the sky, and when the drumming stops, it will send the rain. And in the same way, when they see mm, the flowers that were born out of a tree or a plant, then they thought that it was the tree or the plant that is sending those flowers and fruits. But then Finally, any claim to such worship being the earliest form of religion is not convincing. There is no proof to show that the various conceptions follow linguistic expression about the same. On the contrary, linguistic expressions may follow certain already existent ideas. The merit and usefulness of these various theory emerges when they are taken together. So now the meaning of this complex passage is that even if Max Müller and many anthropologists they had equated such linguistic error with the belief in power of nature, or in short, naturism, the worshipping of nature, this theory and this equation that naturism acted as the earliest form of religion, it was it did not convince many people. They did not find the proof that the various conception they followed linguistic expressions about the same. Like it is now it is believed that when the sun rose, primitive man he equated or he gave a linguistic expression to it. But on the contrary, linguistic expression may follow certain already existent ideas. In short, it means that to equate that it was the error in language that led men to worship nature, it is not convincing. The conceptions, the ideas, the natural phenomena, they were already happening, and we are not sure and we do not know if the earliest man, the primitive man, he gave such a linguistic expression to all the phenomena, and we do not know if he still worshipped the nature without giving it any attribute, without giving it any expression. Maybe this was a muted relationship, maybe it was a muted reverence, that by the very presence of a thunder, very presence of the heat of a scorching sun, they came to worship it without giving it any due expression, without giving it any language. And it may happen that the nature worshipping it is started for other reasons, and we started giving them linguistic expression in 19th or 20th century. So this is the meaning of it. But certainly naturism is again a form of religion in which people, the primitive people, they revered the objects of nature. So this is it. Thank you very much.